So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. So I think we are running out this series. I think we already had 2 webcasts on the cloud service management for the Bamboo release. I think we covered about the project management and the service designer part of it. So today we would dig more deeper into the asset management enhancements which we have done for the Bamboo release. So this would be continuing for another 3 to 4 more weeks to cover all the marquee features or the important features which are part of the CSM release for Bamboo release. So let me introduce the team. So this is just the product management team. I think we have a couple of other development project documentation, a lot of other teams involved in providing this particular release. So just introducing the product management team here. So you already had seen most of them or heard some of them in our earlier webcast series. So I'm part of the asset and CMDB management. I would be driving this webcast today, and we'll be dealing on the asset management enhancements which are there, which have been incorporated in our Bamboo release. I'll be talking on that. And then I think coming forward, we have a couple of sessions from Raj, who will be covering the automation side of things. So just to brief the agenda, what we are trying to cover is the Bamboo summary. That's what we are trying to pitch in for each and every webcast. Wherever we get the opportunity, we will talk about what the overall picture for Bamboo, what are the key marquee features which we are releasing in Bamboo, and then get a deep dive on one of the features, which is like today's topic would be on asset management and discovery enhancements which we are getting in, and then followed by demonstration of the new feature. Probably we will do a discovery and then see how the discovery runs and then get some more information. And also we would have summary and questions at the end, or even in between, in case if you have any specific question, you can pass me and feel free to ask questions. Currently all the lines are muted. You can unmute yourself by #6 or #6. So, and also you can do the chat function so that other product managers who are there in the call would help in addressing those questions while I'm covering the other information. Just a high-level brief of the cloud service management Bamboo release. So I think the service management, when we talk about, I think it's very common that we will be covering the service aspect of it. So currently most of the service management tools or products doesn't cover, so it's not more of service centric, it's more for ticket centric, where we do play around with tickets and then metrics around it. So what we are targeting from the CSM Bamboo release perspective is more service centric perspective. So for that to achieve, so what we have laid out is these 3 marquee areas. So whereas we need to design services and plan your IT, and then you would automate that process and then measure. So what we cover in design is mainly the project design, project work. You might have handled any small IT related projects which we want to cover inside a change request or something like that. So for that we would require a design. And then also for the services, so for example, what service should offer as a catalog item, what are the different offerings for this particular service. Those things could be part of the definition, part of that service creation is what we call, comes under the design aspect of the CSM. And also once we have laid out the design part of it, and then we need to automate the process, that means we need to associate the catalog items to go to a specific process, and then that process with what we define in the automate and process designer would help in addressing that part of associating, and then make sure that you adhere to the process which we have laid out during the initial phase or during the design phase of the process or the service which we have created. And finally we have a measure. Measure is what we measure metric, what we do, what we care. Like, for example, if you are measuring from a service perspective. So what are the different aspects of service, how my service is adapted in the environment, how my service is having number of issues, what are the critical tickets for that particular service. So those aspects of the analytical information of the metric information of the service is what we do as measure. So that's what are the three marquee features which we are trying to cover in this one. I think today specifically what we do deep down is on the asset management part of it. So what's new in asset management? So I think one of the feature which we had a lack in while we had in Lotus or in Econ was the organization-based security. I think a lot of people, like specifically the MSP scenario, MSPs are using this product. So they would need to have that support. Like currently we have that for tickets and CIs configuration items. So we would need to have that support for assets too. So I can restrict the views for analysts and also for self-service users to visualize the asset information. So that is one of the things which we added in the Bamboo is the organization-based security and sub-tenancy support for the asset. And also what we also did was, currently we do single asset discovery configuration. That means we supported only one discovery configuration for discovering or importing from the discovered sources. That was in the Econ release or MR2 Econ MR2 release. So what we are now helping out for specifically MSPs and even other enterprises is to have multiple asset discovery configuration. So and then each discovery configuration can have either supporting my native discovery or importing from the discovered sources. So both of them we would support inside the multiple discovery configuration. And then ability of single installer. I think we had this discussed. I think earlier what we were recommending was like asset discovery manager on a separate system or a physical or the virtual system and separate asset discovery processor so that it will not clash. So now after seeing the environments and then the bandwidth and other things required, so we were able to get both of this discovery manager and a discovery processor into a single installer so that in case if there is a small and medium size environment where they do discover less than 10K assets, so they don't require two different hardware. So we combine that installation to one single installer so that it will be easy to install and then easy to implement the solution quicker. And also upgrade support for the asset discovery manager and discovery components. Like example, like other customers or existing customers who are already started using the asset components, so they would need to have the upgrade support. So they can't really go and uninstall everything and install newly. So they would definitely need the upgrade support for supporting those existing components which were there in the asset management environment. So what will happen for the existing customers when the Bamboo gets rolled out to them? So previous version of Asset Discovery Manager and or the processor will not work with Bamboo CSM version, mainly because we introduced a lot of small changes, mainly in the installer and even on the processor side. We knocked out certain unwanted components which was like impacting a lot on the size and also the performance of the processor part of it. So we did fine-tune that part of it and then having a small footprint processor along with the discovery manager as combined. And also we do support for individual or independent processor to connect to the discovery manager. That combination still works. So that would still be there, but existing ones will not work. So we need to upgrade those discovery asset discovery manager and processor components to the Bamboo version. So if you have earlier components, you need to upgrade them. Otherwise, CSM will prompt while activating the old configuration. So just hold on for a minute here. Let me swap to the real system where we would see the simulated environment, what information, what we would see while you do the like when you activate the specific configuration available for that. So I'm just going back to the asset discovery configuration. You would see these are the. Let me know if you are able to see my screen. I think it might be a bit delay due to WebEx. Are you able to see my screen? I think you might be in mute. Unmute yourself to talk. Okay, thank you. So these are the two connectors which we had for the Bamboo one. So what I did was one of the whatever you see here in NAM 2K8R2 is the one which we had from the previous installation, and then this GAM WAL2008 is the one which have installed the component. So both shows up here, and then when you start in, like for example, this is the configuration which would be inactive. By default, whenever you have existing CON/M2 configuration would get like migrated to the new one. You would see configuration name as default configuration, and then rest of the other things which were already configured. So this is the NAM 2K8, the connector which was the previous version. I'm trying to activate this particular setup. So let me see what the message would show up. When I try to save here, you're using an older version of this connector. Please try to install a new connector and assign. So that would automatically gets migrated. You need to probably manually upgrade the components, processor, and the manager, and then run the discovery. Then the configuration would get activated. You would enable to do the discovery part of it. Let me stop sharing and then start the WebEx again. The slides which I need to cover. So we'll just want to try to cover what are the things would on the org-based security side of it. So what we have done for the organization-based security is like, I think currently we did support tickets configuration item as part of the org-based security. So what we did was like we extended that to assets too. So asset would behave same way as your configuration item or ticket. So there won't be any changes between the tickets or configuration items or assets while adhering to the org-based security rules or permissions. So it would be same thing which was there. So what that means is like asset manager, what you would see. Asset manager is something similar to the admin role. So manages assets in the organization. So we did like implement org-based security for the asset manager. It's not completely an admin. It's just a role similar to admin. So we do have implicit permission for him to behave like an admin. So in case if asset manager belongs to a specific org, so then you would see only the assets which are part of that organization. If the asset manager is linked to the support groups like how we do in tickets or in the CIs, so that would be the way they would provide permission for analysts to view the tickets from different orgs using the support groups. So in case if the asset manager is part of other support groups, he would be able to see the assets which he is part directly or also through support groups. What will happen to the self-service user? So self-service user trying to create a ticket would able to create a ticket, and then he would be able to relate his own assets. So whatever you have a field in the asset has owned assets, so you can put an owner for each of the assets. So whatever the assets owned by the self-service user will be able to add them to the ticket. So same thing, you would be able to view that in the ticket as related assets. So you would be able to unrate that asset from the ticket if he is part of that particular role. So what is different for analyst? So analyst can see the assets related by self-service user because he would also be part of that group too. So otherwise the ticket would not come to that particular analyst. So you would be able to relate the assets or unrelate the assets and also see all the other assets which are belonging to that particular organization or its sub-organization linked directly or indirectly to support groups. So that way, analyst would be able to see the assets which he wants to view or modify or manage. He would be able to associate that to the ticket and then work accordingly. But these assets, whatever the analyst would view, is just the read-only part of it. Only the admins or the asset manager would be able to edit those assets or modify the attributes of that asset. So analyst, by viewing that, will not have the permission to modify that asset. So let's take up the scenario on-premise deployment model. So how it typically gets deployed in the organization. So what we have is we have an on-premise component, that's our discovery manager and processor. So what we were supporting earlier was the one single structure, for example, one single configuration. Like organization would connect to our discovery processor would connect to manager would talk to the CSM. So now with this new Bamboo release, we support all of these three different configurations simultaneously. So one size in a CSM can handle multiple configurations. So each configuration can go and connect to different organizations in their on-premise and then have their asset manager or the processor component installed that would do the discovery of those assets and then push that assets to particular cloud service management. So we have also added organization as the configuration available in the asset discovery configuration. So while importing or while discovering, I can specify so what should happen to these discovered assets. Should it go to the assets in which organization? So I can configure them and then make those assets available in that organization from the configuration. So apart from that, we also have an option to override. For example, in case if you are doing it manually, in case someone updates the asset, and then while the asset organization information, so while I do rediscover, I want to update that back as I need to know, because discovery would be my source of truth for some organizations, so I would want to update that back. So we have a flag available for overriding the organization information from the discovery. So whenever you do rediscover that particular asset, if the organization, whatever you are mapping is modified, so it would go and update that particular organization in the asset there. So that is the other feature which we added in this particular one. I will talk more when I'm doing the demonstration. So this is the multiple configuration support which we have added in Bamboo. Any questions so far? I can pause for a minute. Okay. Let me proceed with so asset management enhancement. So what we have done, other enhancements, is the asset discovery connector. So now earlier you could have seen it was only one connector because we had supported only one configuration. So we didn't have connector concept at all. So now we have come up with asset discovery connectors. So connector is basically where on which system you have installed the asset discovery manager component. That would show me the list of managers which have been installed. So then it would also show me on which OS it's installed, host name, status, installed path, all this information it will be storing in the connector information. If you go and see the asset discovery connector, it would give me that list of connectors which are there. So that is the new workspace which we have added for asset discovery component. And also we have asset discovery configuration. So this was somewhat we had earlier. So what we have extended is the extended of information of configuration name and organization name to which the discovered system should populate, and also on which connector this particular discovery should run. So this information is available in the asset discovery configuration. So whatever you had earlier, so you would see a drastic difference from the icon version of that particular asset discovery configuration and the new one. So that way you would be able to handle more configuration in the discovery environment. So apart from that, we also had, I think even earlier we had discovery status. So we did a lot of enhancements to the asset discovery status workspace too. Earlier you would see that would list all the discovery jobs which were running. So and then it was just giving me whether it got updated, information assets, or it was discovered or something like that. So we didn't provide much information to those discovered details of the discovery. For example, now with this new asset discovery status, you would know on which multiple configuration, which configuration the job ran, and then what are the newly added assets to the discovery, and what are the ones which got updated from the existing discovery, and also did my discovery ran a deep discovery or the basic discovery. So that way you would know why it didn't run my deep discovery. Deep discovery would require credentials. In case if the credentials are not matching or not proper, you would not get to the deep discovery. So that would be one of the key information which probably would have to dig down to the logs to find out why did it get deep discovered. So now with the status itself, I would be able to know why my system didn't do deep discovery, because it might be credentials information or certain registry parameters are not proper or something like that. You would be able to see what the reason behind that that issue of discovery status didn't run properly or completely. So that's the enhancements specifically we have done from the admin perspective of asset management. Now we would see some of the installer changes which we have done. So remember, we would, while installing the asset connector or the discovery manager component, we were seeking a lot of information related to web service username, password. So those things are not required going forward. I think the new asset connector which installs, so it would not require any web service username and password. So what it would require is just the application URL, admin credentials, username and password of your admin account. That would solve, that would probably capture all the other required information on the fly. And most of the repository port information or the mandatory information are defaulted with the default port information. So with just providing the application URL credentials, you would be able to install and then make it run the asset connector configurations going forward. So I think one more change from the installer perspective is the capturing the processor service port, because we do have combined installation of processor and manager. So we would need also that processor information. So it would be to get defaulted that port. So in case if there are any other processor or services running on that port, you can modify that port and then make that port available for the processor configuration. So that would be the one which we would need. Most of the places the default would work as is, not required to change them. So let me go to the demonstration and also view what are the things which we would need. Let me quickly navigate to my share. Let me know when you would see the my browser. Able to see my browser? Yeah, thank you. So I'm just opening the one of the configuration, asset discovery configuration. So the configuration name is the one which you can specify the name for the specific information or configuration which you are dealing. For example, in case if I am populating this for a particular organization, so you can have that name accordingly so that you know in case if my log tells me or my connector status tells me that this configuration ran, and then these are the items which got discovered. So by name you can make out, oh, this name means probably I would have set up this for this particular range of IP address after this particular organization. So you can have your own specific name. And discovery type is we do support native discovery and other discovered sources. My other discovered sources is my legacy or the existing MS SCOM 2008 or my Landisk or Alterace or CA client automation. So if I'm pulling the discovered data from any of these sources, I would configure to get this from their discovered sources. So if I'm specifying native discovery, my discovery source would get populated to native discovery. If I change this particular one, you would see a drop-down available over there to select me from the various discovered sources, like Alterace, client automation, Landisk, SCCM, and so let me, for time being, I'll just put it as native discovery. So I would got my native discovery there. So here it would give me the list of connectors. Let me show back a minute. I'll just go back to asset connectors. So this is asset connectors list of discovery managers installed for my slice or for my environment. I can see one of them is running and one of them is stuck because of older version. So I would still continue like that, and then I will once upgrade it will get me running here. So I have only one connector running. So in case if I go back to my native discovery configuration, if I do select for an asset connector, if I just stop this, search for connector, I would see that and then get the status. I know this is the one which is running. I would go and set up for that particular connector. So while configuration itself, I can specify to which connector it should go and run and which discovery it should populate. And also I would populate what organization the asset discovered asset should populate. So this provides me the list of organizations which is there. So I can specify all the organizations which are there. So for time being, I'll just populate it to CSM itself. And also in case if I'm reusing this asset or if the asset is already existing and then have it with different organizations, I can overwrite. Let me not do this. So since I already have the IP addresses which are there, so probably I'll just go and select this particular actions to include all. So here what I did was like I have list of IP addresses which are part of my configuration. So probably I wouldn't want to enable all of this to include in my discovery. So I just set that. So and then I would just specify the credentials for that. I already passed in my credentials for that. For Windows, I will not specify anything, and there's not much of virtual or anything there. So
Prasanna,
I will do a bunch action. Yeah.
Can you show the connectors to any commercial third-party applications? I mean, do you have any external connectors which you provide out of the box?
We have a custom connector available, which is we can build it. It's like somewhat we have a template available to create your own connector. I think it's not for layman or something. In case if you are familiar with the database schema of third-party system, you could go and build your own connector. We do have that information of like building in the wiki. So we have a custom available, so we can build them.
I think we don't provide any out of those connectors for commercial third-party applications, right?
And we do have this 6, 7, 8, which I've shown you here in this list. Like if I go to other discovered sources, you would see this discovered sources. So these are the 8 the out-of-the-box connectors we provide.
Okay. And also there's one more question on. Yeah, and there's one more question on the installer for processor and manager. Where can we download? Can you show it again in the demo?
Yeah.
Once again.
That's right. We can talk through that. It's like, for example, in case if you go to connectors list, so you would also find this information like asset discovery, processor installer. These are the downloads. So apart from that chapter, you would also download from the download section. So we have a download workspace, so where you would also see those two components available in the tools download workspace. Okay, so let me go back to the native discovery. Thanks for pointing out. So, okay, for the time being, I'll schedule something to run now. 22:42, 9:03 now. So I'm just trying to schedule it for 9:05, 2 minutes. It's 9:03 now, so probably I'll schedule it. So while it runs for schedule, let me go and then explain you on the other information which we have had, the asset discovery status part of it. So here you would see the job information. So you would see the state of that particular job and then status information on which was the source for that particular discovery, and then what was the configuration used for that particular job, and also connector which it was used and which organization it got populated. So apart from that information, like I think the important or good information we have is basic and deep. So you see here how many basic it got discovered, and then how many deep it got discovered. So that would prompt me like how much deep you are going, or how much information or credentials you have populated is working for that particular environment. So you would see here, and also for example, in case if I want to go and I've discovered this from the ACCM third-party import. So I just want to go and then update this particular list of assets. So from the clicking on that, I would get that list, and here to have a bulk action option. So where I can select multiple of them or filter them based on particular new or updated information, and also apply organization logic over there too. Okay, so if I do discover it probably by mistake, I would have put all my discovered system to the different organization while my configuration, but later I realized that okay, I need to move all those assets to a different organization. So you don't require to search and get from which discovered information. All this information is there in the connector status or discovery status. So you can do a bulk update from here, selecting all update organization or location to correct that problems which you had while configuration, misconfiguration, the organization information available there. So let me go back to the discovery status. You should see, you would see a job 11. That was my job which I just started 2 minutes back. The native discovery is the configuration. You would see the status has started here. The native discovery, server discovery is the configuration which I used, and connector is the connector which I'm using it over there. I think it should be able to complete this job. You will see the status. Michelle, any questions on the chat or on the phone? You can feel free to unmute and then ask this question.
Yeah, I think there are no questions on the chat as of now.
Okay. So covered the discovery connectors, configuration, native discovery. It would take a couple of minutes to complete the discovery. So once it discovers updates that, probably I will be able to show the rest of the information. So.
Prasanna?
Yep.
What are the server requirements for Discovery Server? There was a question on the chat.
I think Discovery. Right. I think what we do recommend is the I think any dual or quad CPU processor system. I think only the memory requirement is quite high. I think 8 GB is what our recommendation is for the combined manager and processor installation, which would go and handle around 10K assets. In case if you have less than that, probably you can reduce that to a lower specification. We do have the recommended information available in our wiki, so you could able to get that information from there too. Okay, so let me, I think till it's getting discovered, let me go back to demonstration. So let me go back to the other things which you want to cover. So in summary, what we would have made modifications is mostly related to the OR-based security. Then to summarize what we have, then obvious support in Bamboo, organization-based security and subtenancy support, and then single asset discovery configuration to multiple asset discovery configuration, and then single asset discovery manager to multiple asset discovery managers. So we have multiple connectors available. I think you would see a star over there. That means that I think as part of the guardrail, we have some limitations which are applying, but it's not a showstopper or something. In case case-to-case basis or customer-to-customer basis, we would probably be able to align it to their needs. Probably will be able to handle that configuration limit. Currently, what we have limited is 5 configurations. So we do support 5 configuration for each connector. So asset discovery managers, we have 3 discovery managers can be active at any point of time, and each of them, no, other way around. So we have 5 connectors or 5 managers supported, and each of them would support 3 different configurations. So over and above, you can have 15 multiple configurations supported at any given point of time. So you could make some of the things active and inactive, and then you can still suffice with the 15 configurations which are there. This is just the number which we can handle it whenever we have a certain specific customer which had got little assets or little inventory information at each location, so but still wants to have multiple connectors or managers across the locations. So we might have to take case-to-case basis and then handle them. That's correct. I think the limitation is only for active and running configurations, not just destinations. So you can have multiple destinations configured and then made inactive whenever you want that to be active. So you could make those active and then run them whenever you want to have them. Okay.
Prasanna, there's a question on. There's a question on the can customers create their own new asset templates?
Asset templates, I'm not able to get that question completely. What do they mean by template, asset template? Sam, can you elaborate that question?
Okay, so you know when you go into the tool, manage tools, and you have configuration management templates and then asset templates.
Oh, okay, okay. Right. I got it. No, currently we don't support creating new asset template, but we do support adding new attributes to the existing templates which we have. I think we covered around 15 to 16 default templates out of the box, covering most of the hardware asset, hardware, server, mobile, router, network devices. Most of the templates are there, but currently we don't have a support to create new template, but we can add new attributes to them. Thank you. So let me switch back. I think my discovery got completed. Let me go back to the screen where I would probably be able to show the discovery. So job 11 was my discovery, so it got completed. So you would see deep discovery done, discover asset is 1. So I would be able to go to that asset and then find all the information. So it got detailed information of that particular system. So you would see that organization and location, it got modified to CSM. So if I rerun this particular same asset, rediscover them, and then want to populate this to a different organization, I would be able to do that and then have them configured here. So you would see here last discovered source was asset discovery. That's the source from which it got discovered. So that we will be able to see that. So now probably if you want to run a new job, I can rerun this particular one in 2 minutes from now. Here now I would override organization and populate the same asset to a different organization. So let me populate this to CA. I'm just saving this particular configuration. So whenever the job runs again, so it would go and pick up that particular asset and then update that to the new organization, which my new discovery configuration is telling me to update that asset to the new organization. So it would go and do that once this job runs. We can go and see the job runs in 2 minutes. So it should be available in my status. While it's completing the job, probably we'll do the last. Any questions for now, or we will talk about some logistics. So I think all the wiki is available for Cloud SM Bamboo. You could be able to see the new documentation available already published, and then product community is one great place where we would see all those information, chat, and new ideas, and then discussion threads, a lot of things going on there. And all these webcasts will also be published in the community. So as the video or the webcast, the WebEx recording sessions would be available, so it would be there. And also these webcast series are also available in the YouTube. So I think if you search for CA and then educate, you would see those webcast series available even in the YouTube. Apart from that, we also have a lot of online training videos which are there for managing a particular, this one our new marquee feature. We have those YouTube videos available, and also we have a release notes coming up for the Bamboo release. We already published them. It's available in the wiki too. Let me check my discovery job is completed, the 12th discovery job. Just want to show that part. Let me go back to my share my screen. So you would see that job got started, the new job, job 12. any other questions so far? Still running there. It would take a couple of more minutes to complete that job. So once it completes, we will be able to update that and then see the new configuration, see that asset which got discovered. You would have the organization updated to the CA location over there. So that way it will update the new configuration, or based on the new configuration, would have updated the organization information. It would go and update that particular information back there. So any question, you can take it up before winding up the call. I'll be taking some more time to update that particular discovered sources. See a couple of questions. Just stop sharing to see that particular question. I got some 2 questions. Can we discover applications? So we do support the installed software discovery, along with in case if you have the credentials of the system and also the settings from the remote discovery options enabled from the registry. We do get the information of all the installed application from the device and then populate that as installed discovery. So we do support discovery applications. So then one more question, can we organize the discover assets like servers, software components, application to build relationship? So I think what we do from the asset perspective is like asset to asset relation we can build. For example, we do automatically discover. For example, if I'm discovering my virtual server, my ESX server which has got 10 virtual systems, so I would be able to, if I provide that information, so while discovering itself, so it would automatically discover my ESX server and also populate all the VMs, physical or virtual VMs running on that particular ESX with that relationship. So you can also do manual relation and build hierarchy in the asset and also to the CIs too. Just going back to this one, I think it should have completed. Discovery should have updated. So I think it probably, let's go to the asset center and then see that particular It's taking time. I think it should be getting updated. So any other questions, or we can probably call for the day. I think end up the last one.
Hey, President, there is one question.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does the reconciliation work? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me take it up. That I think how we do discover updates is like we do reconciliation. We do like based on serial number. Serial number is our first mechanism to find out to whether it's an existing asset or a new asset. So first is that in case if there is no match for the serial number, we do combination. We do combination of IP address and MAC address. So if we find any asset with this combination, we will go and update that particular asset. And also we do combination of host name and MAC address. So either of these three should match. In case it doesn't match, then we go and create new asset. Otherwise we will definitely go and update the existing asset there. How does CCTI association happen in model? I think in the model screen, if you see, we have an option to associate the CCTI to that, because what we end up like, for example, okay, based on the model, in case if I am having my Dell Precision M4700 is my model, I know this model will always be a laptop. Hardware laptop is the CCTI, so we don't require the users or somebody to have their own CCTI structure based on the model. So we want to come up with some consistency over there. So we have, that's the reason we earlier, for example, in case if you see configuration item, we had open the CCTI. So for example, some of them would have called hardware server, hardware PC. Some would call it as infrastructure server, infrastructure PC. So we want somewhere to have consistent CCTI structure. So that's the reason we moved out from general CCTI association to model, so that we would have some consistent in structuring the CCTIs accordingly. So that's more of the asset enhancements which we have done for the Bamboo. I think thanks for all your time. It was a great time. So once we have this rolled out, so it would be really good to see the adoption of asset going more and more from this.
We would wait on the webcast for 5 more minutes.
For a few more minutes.
For any,
yeah.
For any questions, and the presentation will be posted to the community after, as you see every week. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you on the webcast next week again.